Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Joy Stephen from the Polensis studios, and today we are going to come up with a report from the program manager of Beijing, China, the Canadian High Commission there. This is the 2015-2016 plan. The High Commission's name is Donald Cochran, who is the program manager in Beijing. This is also the work of Roswitha Dale McLean, who is also the Deputy Immigration Program Manager of the same location. Due to continuing unprecedented growth in the Temporary Resident Program, or the TR program, responsibility for most permanent resident processing has been transferred to Hong Kong. This includes PR applications from Mongolia and North Korea. International adoptions of Chinese children will continue to be processed by Beijing. The transfer of files to Hong Kong is expected to take place during March 2015. Beijing will continue to provide limited support to Hong Kong with respect to the PR program. Beijing, Shanghai, and Hong Kong collaborate closely on the delivery of TR applications from China. All types of TR, or temporary resident applications, are processed in both Beijing and Shanghai, with applications being directed to either office to make best use of processing capacity. Last year, Hong Kong took on the processing of Mongolian temporary resident applications from the Visa Application Center, or VAC, in Ulaanbaatar, as they were routed via Seoul and Hong Kong to Beijing, which added delays in processing. Beijing retained the processing of Mongolian Ministry of Foreign Affairs MFA files. During peak season, Hong Kong processes e-applications from China with visas printed in Beijing. Hong Kong has also processed some other low-risk temporary resident files for which the physical file remains in Beijing or Shanghai. The key challenge facing Beijing is the explosive growth of the TR program. Beijing has since experienced a year of steep increases, with an increase of 43% in 2014. This trend appears to be continuing into 2015. There are strong push factors for migration for those Chinese who have not benefited from China's economic boom. Canada remains an attractive destination for illegal Chinese migrants, and China remains a large source country for refugee claimants in Canada. At the same time, the continued growth in the middle class in China from 2009 onwards has translated into a dramatic increase in demand from genuine visitors to Canada from China. A major change in the China network will be when the new office in Guangzhou opens. This will provide substantially improved service to the large number of applicants in the southern provinces. Anti-fraud. Beijing's anti-fraud unit is referred to as Risk Assessment Unit, a term which was deliberately chosen to more fully describe the unit's objectives and activities. A Beijing anti-fraud group has been in existence for several years. Since 2013, a 5-country steering committee, including Canada, 2 FCC members, and 2 Shenzhen countries, has been formed to coordinate and organize bi-monthly meetings. Information is presented and shared on fraud trends, counterfeit documents, consultant fraud, and efforts which can be taken to combat immigration fraud. The anti-fraud group has grown considerably and is an extremely valuable network for the section. Beijing uses the flexibility provided by GCMS and the Visa Application Center, or VAC, network to improve the caseload to whenever resources are available. Based on close monitoring of intake volumes, inventories and processing times, responsibility for TR processing can be shifted between Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong, and CPCO. Although there are limitations imposed by the VAC contract, e-apps are predominantly processed by CPCO, with complex cases and potential refusals handled by Hong Kong. Risk assessment is a key element in how Beijing gains processing efficiency while supporting quality decision making. Identification of low-risk clients for which processing can be streamlined, reduced document requirements, focused decision making, group processing allows this post to process such cases in high volumes. The creation of a CAN plus stream for TRV or a temporary resident applications with previous travel to Canada or the US or who hold a valid US visa requires eligible clients to submit only an employment letter if applicable and a travel plan. Humanitarian and compassionate (HNC) and public policy overview. Cases in which HNC factors are applied are few. HNC is most commonly used in FC cases to overcome R1179D. In cases where relationships are genuine and failure to have dependents examined can be explained, it is impacts on family planning processes in China and in permanent resident travel document applications. Beijing also processes a small number of cases of dependence of inland HNC applicants. Beijing is likely to receive applications from Chinese citizens who are permanent residents of Canada who chose to adopt a Chinese child through domestic channels. These channels do not meet the requirements of the Hague Convention on Adoption or the requirements of IRPA. PG1 supervisors for parents and grandparents. Officers with experience assessing family class applications are responsible for processing PG1 super visa applications. We are experiencing difficulties in meeting the departmental service standard of 30 days due to challenges in having clients complete the medical requirements upfront. While clients are advised to undergo medical examinations before submitting their applications, only 30% do so. The processing time for files with upfront medicals is normally within 12 days. For cases without upfront meds, processing time normally exceeds 30 days. Permanent resident travel documents. Beijing received 2,877 PRTD applications in 2014, with numbers steadily rising in the later half of the year. The approval rate was 53%. This reflects a large number of applicants wishing to relinquish their status, which are processed in parallel to applications for TRVs. The simplified renunciation process introduced in December 2014 marginally increases the efficiency of processing such applications. However, the lack of 20 barcode or online processing continues to make this the most resource-intensive line of business per decision made. PRTD submissions via the VAC is covered by the current global VAC contract. In the VAC context, the most common reason for a PR to fail to meet residency requirement is that the head of the family will have installed his family in Canada and returned to China to continue his or her employment. Another factor are social norms of filial piety, which requires the adult children care for their parents in illness and old age, which also lead to a substantial number of PRs returning, often same heads of families as mentioned above. Now, study permits. Canada remains a principal source country for foreign students at all levels of study. The overall acceptance rate is 84%. The largest segment of students remains those destined to degree level programs, representing 37% of applications. Applications for secondary studies represent a growing portion of the program with 32% of the applications. This includes both public school enrollments and grade 12 programs at private institutions that are generally preparatory for future post-secondary programs with an emphasis on language. Now let's discuss work permits. Processing times often go above the service standard due to challenges with medicals, compliance, furtherances, and program integrity activities, that's verifications, due to a high number of fraud in this region. E-app work permit applications experience the highest delays, with the need for frequent follow-up due to incomplete information available in the application as a result of generic checklists and the lack of quality control which is normally provided by the visa application centers. In 2014, 80% of work permit applications were finalized within 72 days. As evidenced by a number of verification activities, fraud continues to be a concern in the temporary worker movement, with most of the problematic cases involving lower skilled work such as welders, cooks, and other restaurant workers. Visiting professors, postdoctoral fellows continue to be the most common LMO exempt application are generally problem-free, as are spouses of skilled workers, the second most common LMO exempt applicant. However, the third largest LMO exempt group is composed of intra-company transferees. These applications require close examination to ensure eligibility for the exemption, either as senior managers or on the basis of specialized knowledge. This is a report from Donald Cochran in partnership with his deputy from the Immigration Post in Beijing. The report is dated 27th February 2014. Adios.